but I don't see that you can use this in a regression. Yeah, but that's fine. I mean, I didn't say you need to have a regression.
So
right?
I don't know how to. It's just do t-test to
Yes, I mean, first you would look at the means and standard deviations, and then you would see, which factor is the most important one.
So I do it separately.
You can put them all into one and the descriptives, and then you all see the means. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you have an idea, and then you can from there maybe analyze. Is one variable significantly more important than the other, or you can test certain variables against the value of 4 or something, right? Or 5, and it's 5 because 5 seems to be the midpoint of your scale.
Yeah.
So you'll be more flexible if you can actually do a regression, but here you cannot use them for a regression. Yeah.
And we want to compare the relationship between, for example, gender and factors, but there are so many factors. How can I do?
So
they are not 1, they're 6. Just so I think
this is the ones that you've just shown me, right? These factors, yeah?
Yeah.
So you can simply...
These are also factors, the activities and the staff and the meeting. So many. I don't know how to compare all of them with gender, with the people who choose which type of accommodation.
Okay, so what you can do is you can correlate it, right? So you can, let's say, define, I think correlation, you can also do this with dichotomous variables. I mean, we said you shouldn't do it in the lecture. No, hold on. I think the best way for you would be actually to, let's say gender is measured as like 1, 0, right? Male, female. Yeah, I mean, if you have 1 or 2 others, kick them out, don't consider them. And then simply do a t-test for each of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have and if you have a variable like age, which is measured on an interval scale, you can actually do a correlation here and see if age correlates, with certain variables. If you have a variable, let's say where you have different regions where you're from, let's say you have Asia, Europe, and the US, then you can do an ANOVA. So you can actually do some things with that. Yeah.
Okay. So they are all same. So I have no idea about this.
What do you mean they are the same?
Oh, I mean I before come here.
Yes, I mean look at the factors. Think which one actually might be different. So I mean there's not much value of presenting the same test, let's say 9 times in your dissertation each time. But I mean, you can do it yourself. You can think which one is most likely, for example, to have differences for gender, and then in your report, you simply present the one or the 1 or 2 where you think there actually is a difference, right? Okay. So you don't get many points by just doing as many tests as possible, but really by showing me that you chose these tests based on logic, and then you do the tests correctly. Yeah.
Okay. I have another question.
Yeah, sure.
We have a question like this. The most channel to get information about accommodation.
Mm-hmm.
And after select of 1,
mm-hmm.
and after this question, I should separate each selection to analyze. And I don't get
the question. What do you mean?
It just after I choose the most channel.
Okay.
And then there have 4 questions to show.
So let's see. The channel has provided correct information, has provided sufficient information, has provided actual up-to-date information. Then you want to see if a particular channel has provided this sort of information, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So what you can... Okay. So what you can do is you can ask SPSS to provide the data for you according to the channels, right? So you go to transform. So data, yeah, click on it. And then it is split file, probably. Click on it. Yes, organize output by groups. and then you put in your channel variable.
This one.
Yes, put it in here. Okay, and click OK. And now you go and let's say have the mean, for example. So you go to Analyze, Descriptives, and then Descriptives, yeah, okay. And now you put in your variables according, whatever the correct information, sufficient information, and so forth. Yeah.
Which one? This one? No.
I don't know which one it is.
This?
I mean, label your variables in a way that you can actually make sense of that. So those ones that you've just shown me here. Yeah.
Oh, I don't know which one.
Yes, so I mean, it doesn't matter now, but I mean, use the one when you look at it, which has this label one. I mean, it's your data. How should I know? So if you right click on here, just right click on it. On this one, right click. Right click. Okay. So you.
Sorry.
Okay. So you right click and then this variable names, and then you need to know which variable you actually want to look at. So in your case, which variable you want to look at? Where's the channel one?
It's up.
This is the 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and then you get your variables in here. So you have 6. Oh, sorry. No.
Oh. It's a.
So you have to redo it? Okay, so Analyze, Descriptives. I get this one out. So we have 6, 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Right. And now this is the channel agency. Now you get the mean for these for the channel agency, right? Now
Yeah.
it goes above that. It should be for the other channel, which is friends, and then you get the means for friends.
Okay.
Yeah, and then you'll have the sample size here as well, right? So this is just one, so probably it's not very representative. This is what you could do.
Yeah.
Also, you could, for example, use this one and in a t-test afterwards. So you can have independent samples t-tests where you, for example, compare, this particular group against, let's say, the accommodation website group against a different group if you want to test if they're actually significantly higher. But like I said, don't just, randomly test stuff, but really look at your objectives, which of these tests is most important, which of them, help you with the most information.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
That's it?
Yeah.
Okay.
My question.
Okay.
I asked to find email the format of the findings part. You said it is okay to write summary first, then some. Like this findings part. Summary first, then.
Yes, don't have so long, direct
so this
quotation.
Is long.
Yes.
But these sentences can express the meaning completely.
Okay. So in general, try to keep it short. Short. Usually it's like one line maybe. And also it would be good not just to display the sentences, but actually to make sure that you interpret the meaning for the reader. Yeah. So you actually have to say clearly. I'm not sure above that, but usually we write it below that. What do these people actually mean, and what is important, for your analysis here? Yeah.
Okay. Just translate this code.
Not translate, but summarize and really say, I don't know, with this particular point, this is expressed, so it's clear that what you want to convey with that. I'm not sure if this actually is that clear. quite often, you know, if people say long sentences, I'm not sure why is this important. So tell the reader why is this important. If you tell it, you know, above that, that's fine. Usually it's like, you know, we write something introductory, then we write a short quotation, and then we kind of interpret it, you know, below. But make it in a way that it makes sense. Don't just kind of put one after the other. Try to connect it, point at differences, you know, commonalities. It actually should be, try to analyze it. Don't just, you know, put it there and describe it, but really try to analyze it.
Oh, okay. So you said we don't put the interview sample in the appendix.
No.
But I remember at one seminar we talked we should put 2 samples in the appendix to show we know how to call the interviews.
Yeah. So, I mean, I was not present what Vita said, but it's the first time I've heard that from you, and no other group has told me. So maybe she said it, maybe you misunderstood it, I don't know. I will mark your report. For me, I don't need it. You know, so Vita won't see your report. So I'd say, in general, for everything that you do, quite likely the appendix will not be marked. So when I mark your report, I read your report. I will only in very rare circumstances look at the appendix, except maybe for the questionnaire, because I have to mark the questionnaire. You know, so the questionnaire I will actually look at the appendix. Besides, the appendix is just to have it complete, and I mean, like I said, in rare circumstances I might look at it. In general, all the important findings should be analyzed by you and, you know, written in a way that it's convenient for the reader. The reader does not want to look at the front, look at the back, doesn't kind of try to figure out how to make sense of it, right? It's your job to actually tell the reader what's important and why is this important. Yeah. So, and then have it in your writing, not in the appendix.
Okay, so we don't need to put the 2 samples.
No.
I mean, but I don't completely understand the interviews guidelines.
Mm-hmm. Interview guide is you have asked, I don't know, when you had your interviews or your focus groups, whatever you had, interviews, let's say?
Interviews,
yes.
Yeah.
Then you had a couple of questions that you wanted to ask the interviewee, right? I mean, you had, let's say, 10, 15 questions that you wanted to talk about. And
So-
these questions is the interview guide. And this is what you want to put in the appendix.
Oh, so just the questions?
Yes, not the answers, just the questions.
Oh, okay.
Okay?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you
Okay.
very much.